It's January the 17th, 2022, and our reading today in 2 Chronicles is in chapter 22. The people of Jerusalem made Ahaziah, Jehoram's youngest son, king in his place, since the raiders who came with the Arabs into the camp had killed all the older sons. So Ahaziah, son of Jehoram, king of Judah, began to reign. Ahaziah was 22 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem for 1 year. His mother's name was Athaliah, a granddaughter of Omri. He too walked in the ways of the house of Ahab, for his mother encouraged him in doing wrong. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord, as the house of Ahab had done, for after his father's death they became his advisors to his undoing. He also followed their counsel when he went with Joram, son of Ahab, king of Israel, to war against Hazael, king of Aram, at Ramoth Gilead. The Arameans wounded Joram, so he returned to Jezreel to recover from the wounds they'd inflicted on him at Ramoth in his battle with Hazael, king of Aram. Then Ahaziah, son of Jehoram, king of Judah, went down to Jezreel to see Joram, son of Ahab, because he'd been wounded. Through Ahaziah's visit to Joram, God brought about Ahaziah's downfall. When Ahaziah arrived, he went out with Joram to meet Jehu, son of Nimshi, whom the Lord had anointed to destroy the house of Ahab. While Jehu was executing judgment on the house of Ahab, he found the princes of Judah and the sons of Ahaziah's relatives who had been attending Ahaziah, and he killed them. He then went in search of Ahaziah, and his men captured him while he was hiding in Samaria. He was brought to Jehu and put to death. They buried him, for they said he was a son of Jehoshaphat who sought the Lord with all his heart. So there was no one in the house of Ahaziah powerful enough to retain the kingdom. When Athaliah, the mother of Ahaziah, saw that her son was dead, she proceeded to destroy the whole royal family of the house of Judah. But Jehosheba, the daughter of King Jehoram, took Joash, son of Ahaziah, and stole him away from among the royal princes who were about to be murdered, and put him and his nurse in a bedroom. Because Jehosheba, the daughter of King Jehoram, and wife of the priest Jehoiada, was Ahaziah's sister, she hid the child from Athaliah so that she could not kill him. He remained hidden with them at the temple of God for 6 years, while Athaliah ruled the land. Amen. So Ahaziah, the youngest son of Jehoshaphat, that's unusual to begin with, he comes to the throne now, verses 1 to 2, under rather strange and tragic circumstances. And again, verses 3 to 9, as we've seen before. Sorry, did I say that he was a son of Jehoshaphat? He was a son of Jehoram. Let's get our kings right here. Yes, he's the king of, the son of King Jehoram. It goes to show, doesn't it? It's easy to get our kings and chronicles and different things mixed up. So Ahaziah, the son of Jehoram, becomes king. Strange, tragic times. And we read again of this man as we read of his father, Jehoram. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord. There are certain reasons that were given for that. He's influenced by evil people. The house of Ahab. Now, Ahab was a king in Israel in the north. Ahaziah is king of Judah in the south. But he's spending most of his time with them, partly encouraged to do so by his mother, Athaliah, because his mother was related to Ahab. She's a descendant coming down from the north. But it says that after his father's death, people from the court of Ahab in the north, they became his advisors to his undoing. And we certainly see that. He becomes best friends with Joram, who is again a son of Ahab, king of Israel. And because of that association and that deep friendship with him, that leads to the brutal assassination of Ahaziah by Jehu. Remember him? We've seen Jehu before, and he is the one who's appointed and anointed by Yahweh, by the Lord, to be the instrument of God's justice to wipe out the whole family of Ahab in the north. And Ahaziah and his attendants and family members happen to be there at the time, and they get caught up in the slaughter. Verses 10 to 12, that then sends Athaliah, Ahaziah's mother, who's got these strong connections with the north, that leads her then into a murderous rampage. When she saw that her son was dead, she proceeded to destroy the whole royal family of the house of Judah. You see, she's not part of the house of Judah. She married into it. Her sympathies and her evil tendencies, they all go back to Ahab. So she just wants to wipe them out. But God's plans and purposes are not bound up with the northern tribe of Israel. They will be destroyed ultimately, just as Ahab's family is. The whole of those northern tribes are going to be done away with. They will be destroyed. They will be judged by God. So what's left? Well, God has made a covenant. He's made promises, and they rest now with David, the line of David, the kingdom of Judah. So there's no way that Judah and the kings of Judah can be ultimately destroyed. This is a very bleak moment. So what's going to happen? Well, now emerges a wonderful heroine. I'm sure I've read this passage before, but I had no recollection of reading about verse 11, Jehosheba. Familiar with her? She is so courageous and so full of insight, spiritual insight of what needs to be done, because she takes and hides away the future king. He's just a baby at this point, called Joash. And that's how the chapter ends. He's stashed away, protected, and made safe for 6 years, while this crazy, murderous, rampaging tyrant of a woman, Athaliah, rules the land and causes havoc. A baby king, protected, hidden away from the rage of a murderous tyrant. Does that sound familiar? Doesn't that remind you of Moses and Pharaoh, looking back hundreds of years before this incident, and then looking forward hundreds of years to Matthew chapter 2 and verse 16, the birth of Messiah? When Herod realized that he'd been outwitted by the Magi, he was furious, and he gave orders to kill all the boys in Bethlehem and its vicinity who were 2 years old and under, in accordance with the time he'd learned from the Magi. And what happened to Jesus and his parents? They were instructed, weren't they, in a vision, take the child and his mother and escape to Egypt. God is in control. The Lord reigns. He's on his throne. But it doesn't always look like it. There can be periods of time here, 6 years, when evil reigned in the land, and it might have seemed to some people the story was over. There was no more good news. There was no more plan and purpose of God. But that's not true, my friend. In the darkest of days, we need stories like 2 Chronicles chapter 22 to remind us the Lord reigns and his eternal purpose cannot be thwarted.